please share about Hailey. Tell me about this little girl that was so amazing.
So, Hailey was so special from the start. Trey and I were over the moon, and the family were so excited when we knew that she was on the way. And the waiting room was full of people checking their watches, wondering, where she is. But on November 2nd, 2011, a beautiful baby girl was born, and she was just perfect. I'm not saying that because I'm biased because I'm her mom, but she just was such a good baby. She hardly ever cried. She smiled all the time. She giggled. She loved to be held. And everyone just enjoyed having her around, and everyone kind of fought to take care of her when we had to work. But she was a really, really special child. She was smart. She was doing things. She was hitting milestones way before she should hit them. She really had a knack for loving others and having just so many friends. She was that kid that you wanted to be around because she always made you feel good. And anybody that she came into contact with, complete strangers. She just wanted to know everything about you. She could walk into a room full of strangers and know every single one of them by the time she left. That's just who she was. And she loved everyone. She loved to dance. She started dance classes when she was 3. And so she started with like a little ballet tap combo. And it was on Saturday mornings. We had to get up bright and early to go. And she loved it. She loved wearing her tutus. And she would even wear her ballet shoes during the week at the house. And so we went through several pairs. She would tear them up. But her little sister, Molly, she was 2 at the time, wanted to be in there with her. So they didn't usually let 2-year-olds in class, but they let Molly in because she was just so cute. But Molly and Hailey did everything together. And Hailey did, other normal kid things. She did t-ball and soccer and cute little stories about, her on the soccer field. She'd be the one twirling and leaping, and when she was on the sideline, she'd ask the guys for a little back massage. So she had fun, but she always loved to get snacks afterwards, and was so excited about her trophy. And but dance was her thing, and she stuck with it. And she was really talented, and we just loved to see her on stage. I mean, she just loved to be not in the spotlight, but she just had this. She just loved to smile, and she just loved to be out there. And I think it was more about the relationships and the friends that she made through dance. And she, lots of awards and things like that came her way, but it really wasn't about the awards for her. She could have cared less. She just didn't care about that stuff. But she was just so happy to be in the dressing room with the girls, and I would get her ready real quick, and then she's off, doing something else, sitting in somebody's lap and goofing off. So she handled it all with grace, and she was very encouraging to everybody else around her. There was one competition about a year before she passed. She was getting ready to go on stage for her solo. And there was, the girl going before her was beautiful. She was an older girl. Hailey was just mesmerized by her and just stared at her. And when she got off stage, Hailey went up to her and told her how beautiful she was and how much she loved her costume and how beautiful she was when she danced. All the while, they're calling her number, trying to get her on stage. But she said, I have to do this first. And that's just who she was. She just, those words of encouragement were just something really special.
Trey, how do you think she was able to have such an impact at 11 years old on all these people that surrounded her?
I think it was just inherent in who she was as a person. You know, she was inquisitive. She liked to ask questions, so that led to conversations with people. She had a really keen knack of asking or picking up on people when they weren't, when something was going on and that she felt like they needed somebody to listen. We've heard a lot of stories since the accident from other little girls who were like, you know, Hailey wasn't really in my friend group at school, but I had this and this going on. And she came up to me the day that I was really struggling with something and said, hey, what's going on? You don't seem like something's going on. And gave her, she did have a cell phone because she was at dance so much, and offered up her numbers, like, whatever's going on, call me. You know, I'll listen. And but we hear that more often than we could have ever imagined. But she just genuinely cared about people. You know, she had a lot of ambition in life, and we loved to go and do things. And there was one time we were at SeaWorld, and I was actually back here working, and I was going to come down and meet them later. But when you walk into SeaWorld, there's the nursery where they take care of the newer dolphins, and a lot of people walk by and they'll look at them, take pictures, and keep walking. Well, Hailey befriended one of the employees there and just started asking questions. A few minutes turned into an hour and a half, finding out that one of the dolphins' name was Hailey, and the trainer calling Hailey over and her feeding Hailey. But that's just how the approach she took to everybody. She really wanted to know people and know what made them happy, and you know, really opened up her heart and showed love and compassion when people were going through things.
How proud you must be of her.
We are very, very proud.
And one of the things that we heard first from that day was that Hailey was she was talking to all the kids on the float right before it happened and had to be told to go get ready for the parade, that she was there loving on the littles, because that's just who she loved to be. And she was the last one to go get in line because she just wanted to.
She was telling them how cute they were. So,
Does that day play over in your minds? Like, how do you
all the
think
time.
back on that day? Can you
It's the
bring us
worst day.
back to that day? And I understand that Hailey loved parades too, and she certainly loved dance.
She did.
So bring us back to that day.
We have been, it was one of our biggest family traditions has been the Raleigh Christmas Parade. We've been every year. Hailey went, even when she was a baby. And it was the first year that she was in the Raleigh Parade, and she was so excited. So excited. She popped up that morning and got ready and ate her scrambled eggs real quick, and out the door we went. And she loves Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You song, and so we sang that over and over and over in the car on the way to Raleigh. You know, we stopped and said, you know, I love you, I'll see you later, good luck. And Trey took her to the staging area, and I stayed with Molly and Camden. We were seated towards the end of the parade, so we could scoop her up when she was finished, and she never made it. She never made it to us. So we didn't know what happened until we got to the hospital, through text messages. We thought everyone in her group was okay. We had no idea it was Hailey. My parents were watching it live on television, and my mom called both of our phones. She called me first. I didn't pick up. And Trey picked up. And she was just hysterical. And she said, I think a dancer was hit. I think it was Hailey. She just said she just had this feeling it was her. And we didn't know what she was talking about. And so then, a lot of panic and group text with some dance moms. I got a message that said the juniors are okay. They got out of the way. And so I told Trey to go pick her up, because it was about a mile away, wasn't it? Well, about a mile. And I had Molly and Camden with me. And so he was going to go pick up Hailey and bring her back. And he left, and he didn't come back. And he ended up calling me. He was in an officer's car being escorted to Wake Med. And we still didn't know why. They wouldn't tell him anything. And so I was left on Fayetteville Street for a while. Another officer was supposed to come pick me up. But I saw two officers about a block away, and so I ran to them and asked them what was going on. And they escorted Molly, Camden, and I to the hospital. So I just ran through the emergency bay. I got past all the security. And my mom was already there, and Trey, and they had found out about 30 seconds to a minute before I did. And just the shock of hearing those words, it's hard to believe. And we needed to see her right away. I didn't believe them. And they tried to prepare me before we walked into her room, but I needed to see her.
Being a nurse and taking care of sick children, I mean, you've been in a situation like that. I mean, having your background, you knew more than the normal parent, probably.
I just
right?
went into panic mode, and there was nothing that could be done. And so the staff at Wake Med were amazing at handling that whole situation. Our nurses, doctors, child life specialists. I mean, they were just phenomenal. So many people came to support our family, and we got to spend several hours with her before we had to say our final goodbyes. But yes, it does. It replays every day. It's not something that you can just get over and move on. So,
Talk to me about the support that you have had and the people that have been around you. And it sounds like you have a pretty big support system even since before this happened. So how did people reach out to help in just such the horrific time that it was?
We have a really close family, and they were obviously our biggest support at first. I know everybody wanted to do something at the beginning, but everybody also gave us our space. We obviously were in shock for a lot of the beginning, and we're just numb to it all. So they did give us that space is what we really needed. We just needed each other and the love on our other two kids. And but when they were needed, it didn't matter what we asked for. They showed up. Our kids' school, they had the counselors came over the morning after and talked with us and with the kids. The teachers were just so good with Molly and Camden, and the school itself they just rallied around us every way they could.
They talked with their classes and kind of counseled them before Molly and Camden came back on things that they could say and not say. So we did appreciate that too, to ease that transition.
And their church was just so many people. We could never eat all the food they sent us. We had just countless messages and prayers, just anything and everything we could ask for from our local community here, as well as the Raleigh community, and people reached out from all over the country and even some other countries that just sent little messages, made little donations. The number one thing that anybody can ever do in this situation is just pray for the families, and that's we got a lot of prayer. Without the prayer, we wouldn't get up, and there's days we don't want to get out of bed, but we do, and it's not our strength. It's the strength that comes from the Lord, from all the people around us that encourage us and let us know that we're not alone.
Has your faith been a big part of the healing?
Absolutely. It's the only thing that's really gotten us to this point. We know that she's okay. We know that she knows that we love her very, very much. And, it's a daily walk now for us. And, we read the Bible, and we watch sermons and listen to podcasts, and it's hard as parents to live we're continuing on with 2 other children, but we know that she's in a much better place than we are. But we want her here with us.
Another thing that people have done is just witnessed our grief. Sat there and listened. you know, you often hear about people rushing to tell you something that you may not need to hear when you're in grief. We've been lucky enough that we really haven't had to endure that. We've had people that just truly just listened to how much we loved her and how much we miss her, and just unthinkable that we're going through.
It's unimaginable. And I've had a lot of parents tell me they don't know how you're doing, how do you go on, how do you move forward with what's happening, and they want to reach out and give you a big hug. I talked with one of my coworkers who was there that day, and they actually had to move out of the way for the ambulances, and one of the daughters was Hailey's age at the time and had a lot of those questions that I know you've heard. And so a lot of people are just amazed at your strength. And I know you said it's not your strength, it's strength from her and from the Lord and your faith. So what would you say to other parents who saw what happened, who, you know, also had the Raleigh Christmas Parade as such a tradition in their families? Like, how do they move on? What's your suggestion?
You know, a lot of Hailey's friends and a lot of her dance buddies from everywhere when this happened were not okay, and they're still not okay. And I met with a lot of them early on, and I gave them big hugs, and I told them how much Hailey loved them and what they meant to her, and that just because Hailey is not here does not mean that we are not a part of their life. And I'm a second mama to a lot of girls, and so we're still very much a part of kids' lives. And you know, I think recognizing when you need help, for sure there were a lot of kids there that day that didn't know Hailey, and they saw a lot of things, and recognizing when you need help and then getting that help, I think is the biggest thing that you could do as a parent, is just being open in conversations and finding that counselor, and recognizing that children have a hard time processing things like that, and they're not supposed to understand things like this. Nobody does, but especially children. It's hard for them to even wrap their mind around it. And a lot of Hailey's buddies that she danced with, you know, they saw her. And we've heard multiple parents say that their kids are just, they're not the same. And as far as they're concerned, their childhood ended that day. And months went by, and I did talk to those girls. And I think it was good for us to see each other, and it was good for them to talk to me. And just to let them know that we love them too, and that we're here for support. This is just a community, and we've got to stick together to get through this. I mean, Hailey was such a bright and bubbly person, and she would want everyone to be okay. And that's what we're trying to do, is to carry on that.
Well, I think that's pretty amazing too. You're shine like Hailey. Like, you're still keeping her with you every single day and not trying to move on and be there for your other two children, but you want Hailey to still be a part of your daily lives. So tell me about the Shine Like Hailey Foundation and the things that you've been doing to help her live on.
Yeah. So the Shine Like Hailey Foundation, we started that pretty early on. Hailey's dance teachers at Main Street, when everything went down, they got together and they said, well, if you think about Hailey, what do you think about? And they came up with Shine Like Hailey, and it's just a perfect logo for her. And so we knew that we wanted to continue Hailey's legacy. We wanted to continue her light and her joy. And she loved lots of things. She loved dance. She loved getting to know people. She loved the outreach of the community. And so the foundation was created in hopes of continuing the giving and the loving on people. And so we have some really awesome things coming in the next few months. But we've done a couple things. We have made coming home blankets, and for Duke, their NICU babies, we have made blankets for Wake Med's Children's ED. We have made another set of blankets that are going to the Murdoch Center this week. And through family and friends, they helped make all those, which was really special. What else have we done? The blessing bags. So we did, we had a group together with us for Hailey's birthday in Charlotte. And we made blessing bags that we used to love on the homeless population in Charlotte. And so in those blessing bags, we had food, water, a toboggan, gloves, socks, toothbrush, toothpaste, soap, nail clippers, mouthwash, gum, some of the Halloween candy. Try to get rid of that. And so we went around downtown Charlotte and got to love on those people and just hearing their stories, and was pretty remarkable. The kids had a lot of fun doing that. It was really humbling, a really humbling experience.
How have you been able to make it through milestones like a birthday, holidays?
Never got been alone is the biggest thing. And going back to how we get through the day, it's a community. Without the support, we couldn't do it. And I mean, there's certain times that we want to be alone, just the four of us, and we need to be alone, just the four of us. But even those people offering up a place to stay, to get out of town, or dropping a meal by, that. So I mean, people just continue to shower us with blessings, so to make it easier. We can't do it by ourselves, and I don't think grief should ever be experienced by yourself. And thankfully, we don't have to.
We're trying to make some new traditions. So, last year for Thanksgiving, instead of turkey, we had crab legs and steak. Those were Hailey's favorites. So just switching things up is good for family too. Not doing the same thing we did. So finding new places to go has been important for us to do. So keeping those memories with Hailey.
I feel like you're also trying to honor her by making sure that nothing like this ever happens again. Did you ever think that you would be testifying and being so public, and how are you now able to continue to, still advocate for children like Hailey?
I mean, I don't say it's generally who we are, and we like to serve, but we don't like to be in front of. We would much rather be somebody serving in the back than somebody in the spotlight. But it was something that's important to us, because we felt like through the many people who's reached out to us, even first responders and stuff like that, they all felt like things were happening that weren't happening. And we all had a false sense of security, that given that accidents had happened before, that things would have been put in place to prevent incidents like this from happening. And the fact that they weren't, and there was really very little that was being done since, we felt like we had to be a representative for other families. In no way would we ever want parades to go away, but we would, with everything we have, we would like to make them as safe as possible. We can't continue to operate under a system when a parade was created 100 years ago. Things have changed. We have to change with the times. And without somebody stepping up and saying something, sometimes things just get forgotten, or people just don't want to rock the boat. But we can't continue to operate that way. More people come than ever. Things are bigger. Things are. We've grown. Our safety needs to grow with it.
Do you feel like at times your grief turned to anger?
Absolutely. It's definitely anger. And that's all wrapped up in grief. I mean, I don't know anybody who loses somebody who's not angry. And we're no different. We're human beings. God gave us all of our emotions to have. And I feel like we have every right to be angry. This is not how it's supposed to be. We're not supposed to go to a parade with 3 kids and come home with 2. And absolutely, we're angry about that.
It should have never happened.
How will you be? What are you doing on Saturday?
We don't know. We don't know.
Hailey's name will forever be tied to the Raleigh Christmas Parade.
I think it's her. She needs to be honored. She needs to be honored.
She is through people, like a lot of the first responders that were there that day. Especially the fire department they've been a big part of our grieving process. They were selfless enough to serve that day, but they didn't stop serving that day. They served us since, and they were part of our grieving process. They tell us we were part of theirs, and we're just thankful for them. I mean, they're what selfless servants they are every day, and a lot of them do have to compartmentalize what they see each day, but this time they didn't. And I know there's times that they don't, and they can't every single time, but we do know that some of them had children there that were Hailey's age or around that time, and it was a little bit different. And and they're doing so much to honor her, and we're so thankful for that. But if we didn't have their support in God's timing, there were days we didn't know that we would how we would get through those days. But His timing's always perfect. Unfortunately, it's not always our timing.